listening to the 300s podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 4 of the 300s podcast. Today it's just Red and Rick. Rick, how you doing today?
I'm living the dream. I'm living the 14-year-old Rick dream. I had burgers, pizza, Chinese food buffet this weekend.
Celebrating a little Super Bowl victory.
Yeah, I guess I had my dips last weekend, so this was more of the hardcore stuff this weekend.
Yeah, I'm sitting here right now wearing my Super Bowl champs hat and my 5-time Super Bowl Patriots champion t-shirt that I got last night at Modell's.
Modell's. I usually go to Bob's. I think Bob's will be my first stop next time I get off a plane at Logan.
Yeah, I think you got to go to Bob's. Modell's. They had like, you know, all the secondary brand things. They didn't have any of the on-field stuff or whatever rights and reasons they don't own, but I'm happy to have it.
No, not the New England Patriots. Just, we're talking Revolutionary War. Yeah, they won, designating their fifth battle won. No, Nike, don't know. You're wrong.
Yeah, Sully's Tees, champions of
Yes.
New England football.
Yes.
So talking about the game, obviously last weekend, huge fucking game. You know, a lot of people are calling the greatest comeback of all time. Definitely of Super Bowl history. They were down 25 points. I mean, we should have seen my house, man. We were watching it, and it was just, you know, it was not necessarily quiet because we were dropping F-bombs and stuff, but from A to Z, from the first half to that shitty halftime show to mounting the comeback in the second half, what was going on over there?
Well, living outside of New England, it's a little bit quieter watching a Patriots Super Bowl out here, but I'll be honest with you, the Super Bowl's one of the few days a year where you don't care about anybody that's living in your apartment complex, who lives next to you, who lives below you. You know, I think F-bombs, I think you get a free pass on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I had probably, 10 people over my house and kind of feel like a dickhead looking back because I literally just fucking zone people out and I'm not even paying attention. I forget they're even there. I sit a foot away from the TV, smashing my hat into the ground. So I forget people are even there. So to anyone who was at my house, apologies for not being a great host, but holy shit, what a game.
But you know what? That's a great debate. You know, that's something we can talk about during the dead months of summer. But what is it a better time to watch Super Bowl? If you're with your friends, you know, having a lot of beers, a lot of food, or, you know, like me, just watching it at home because I can shout F-bombs and, you know, it's me and the wife, but I don't have to worry about Bob from accounting or, you know, embarrassing myself in front of family and friends. So, you know, maybe for me, you know, it's a preview of what guys do when they settle down and they've got the 6-month-old on their lap and they can't shout F-bombs.
Yeah, I mean, I got 2 points on that. One, for, you know, reasons of not wanting to be drunk and embarrassing. I don't watch it with people from work. People that, you know, I'm buddies with, I don't really give a shit. So I'll definitely have people over. But in that same sense, if people are saying, oh, I'm having people over, you just got to drive a half hour to my house, I'm like saying, no, I'm just going to watch it by myself. I don't really fucking care. If you want to come over and drink a bottle of wine, absolutely, but I'm not leaving a foot from my TV.
My last point on that is they both have their pros and cons, but if you get to sit at home on your own couch, even if nobody comes over, you get your phone in your hand, you can tweet to the whole world and your snide remarks, so...
Yeah, and I have this debate with my girlfriend all the time where, you know, she likes to watch at bars, but a lot of times you can't even hear the audio. You can't even see what the fuck's going on. I want to be a foot away from the TV, you know, hearing and seeing everything as close as possible, giving myself brain damage.
There's a few places in Boston, I think it might have been King's, where they will play the audio while the game is in progress, and that is huge. I used to think it was because I was just some broadcasting geek, but I'm with you, man. I gotta hear the broadcasters, even if I don't like them, even if I don't think they're good. They are just moving the ball, you know, moving the chains. You just need some narration there.
It completely takes you out if you don't have the audio. Like, watching a football with the sound off, it's like watching rugby. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
How else would you know that the biggest deficit overcome in Super Bowl history had only been done 3 times and was only 10 points?
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing, watching that. The biggest Super Bowl deficit ever come back from was 10 points by Tom Brady, and this one was almost 3 times that.
I mean, when it got to 28-3 in the third quarter, I'm not thinking to myself, all right, we got to do this. I'm thinking to myself, they're not going to get the ball back enough times to tie this up or to take the lead. So forget overtime. I don't think there's going to be enough time to just have enough possessions. And
yeah, you know, I mean, I'm with you on that because I was tweeting numerous REGF GIFs, Ari Gold GIFs from Entourage, just tweeting, "You are so fucking fucked. You don't even know how fucking fucked you are." And I'm watching that game, and I'm sitting there, and they're down 25 points, and I'm thinking, they're too good to get blown out this bad. They're gonna mount a comeback. They're gonna score some points. They're gonna at least make it competitive. But I was having Donovan McNabb flashbacks, and I figured we'd run out of time. I was like, what's gonna happen? They're gonna score like fucking 21 points. They're gonna lose by a touchdown because they run out of time, and then I'm gonna smash my TV.
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't think they were going to have enough time to make that comeback. And even if they could start, that Fred Flintstone mobile getting a little bit momentum, I didn't think they could shut down the Falcons for a quarter and a half.
And that's another thing. I've had debates with people all year long. You can say whatever you want, and why people still question and give shit to Belichick, I don't get. The guy's won fucking 5 trophies at this point. But people just kind of having the talk radio snide remarks like, "Oh, number 1 defense, haha, yeah, they're terrible." They held the Falcons, the number 1 offense in the league, who were one of the most historic offenses, technically speaking, as far as points scored. They held them to 14 points in the first half because one of those touchdowns was a pick six. They held them to 14 points in the first half, and then the second half they scored, 1 or 2 touchdowns? I think they scored 2. So, they held the top scoring offense pretty much in check. And the second half, talk about a complete difference.
Yeah, it was 1 touchdown in the second half, because remember, it was 21-0 at one point, 3 touchdowns, and then one of those was a defensive touchdown. They get that third offensive touchdown midway through the third, and that's when it's 28-3. So, 2 notes about Belichick. He held them below their season average of about 34, and also one of their 4 touchdowns was defensive, a self-inflicted wound, if you will. So
yeah, so technically the defense held them to 21. I think their season average is 15. So
yeah,
Dan Shaughnessy and his tomato cans can go shut the fuck up.
I was looking at the draft order the other day. Obviously, the Patriots pick last, but a couple of teams above them are tied, and they break the tie with strength of schedule. And if you rearrange it, you can see the whole league's strength of schedule. And I want to say the Patriots, they might have been second worst or something like that. The Dolphins had a worse schedule than the Patriots. But, it is incredible looking at how weak that schedule was now that it's all said and done.
Yeah, I know the strength of schedule wasn't great, but it's one of those things where I'll never understand. I know they just need to write it, but sports writers and talk radio just saying "Oh, well, they beat them. Doesn't matter. Oh, well, they won the wild card game. Doesn't matter. Oh, well, they won the AFC Championship game. That team sucked too." It's well, who the fuck do you want them to play? They're playing the teams that got there. So just line them up. We'll knock them down.
Well, when you're New England, you're in the northeast corner of the United States. Your 2 closest teams, the Jets and the Bills. Sorry, guys, we got to play those 2 teams twice every year. Nothing we can do about it. You shouldn't lose points because you're just beating your divisional rivals' brains in every year.
Plus, I saw an article, and it was just saying, I forget what troll website it was from, but it was saying Brady and the Pats era is going to be overlooked, overrated because they beat up on weak competition. And then someone came back at them and said, "What the fuck are you talking about? Steelers had Hall of Fame quarterback won 2 titles during the same time. They had to get through the Colts, who had the best record and 4-time MVP, Peyton Manning, every year. They had to get through the Broncos in the last few years. There was always good teams in their way. So the Jets and the Bills weren't great every year. They were still going through some badass teams to get to the Super Bowl."
Yeah, the Jets knocked the Patriots out of the playoffs that one year, the drive to nowhere season. But I think saying that this dynasty will be overlooked because of the weakness of the competition, hey, that's the modern NFL. That's parity. And the reason the Patriots are a dynasty is because they are the only team that hasn't fallen victim to that parity argument.
Not to mention, it's 16 years? You want to say the competition's not been great for 16 years? That's not a dry spell. That's the fucking league. That's how much better the Patriots just are.
And they've been able to stay ahead of everyone.
Yeah. And one of the things I wanted to bring up that was coming to my mind watching that game on Sunday night was, they're down, 25 points. Something that I was like, they're not out of it, was, if you remember, the 2012 game against the 49ers, I think they were down 21 or so, and they came all the way back, they tied it up, and I remember, it was a Monday Night Football game, and it was just unbelievable, genius performance from Brady. And ultimately they lost, but, to come back, I think they scored 21 or 28 unanswered points. that's like the one thing I kept in the back of my head. I'm like, they've done it before. They can do it again. I don't know if they're going to necessarily win, but they're not going to get blown out. Like, this is the difference between Brady and Manning. When Manning lost to the Seahawks by, 40 points or whatever the hell it was in the Super Bowl a few years ago, that would never happen to Brady. And you saw it right there. They're down 25 points, and they're just going about business as usual, and they come back.
And one thing I'll note, we can have the discussion on whether or not experience matters. We kind of did it on the last episode. My position is I don't think player experience matters that much. That's what the numbers say. But coaching experience, I don't know what the numbers say on that. But you see the Patriots get down by 25, and obviously Belichick is not thrilled. He's not pleased. But he's not slamming the clipboard in the headset. He's not shoving assistants out of the way. He's just got that look on his face. All right, it's 25. All right, what do we need to do? All right, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. I mean, the look on his face is always calm. So I'm not going to call him the master motivator. I'm not going to call him the defensive mastermind. There's a lot of hyperbole thrown out there with Belichick, but he's just a guy. He knows every situation. He is like the professional blackjack player that knows to double on a soft 15 when the dealer's showing a 4. He has just memorized the chart, and he knows what to do. And the guy never blows timeouts. And you can't say that about other guys with experience. Andy Reid, Jeff Fisher, there are plenty of guys that have coached as many games or almost as many games as Belichick that just don't have that mastery level of the clock, timeouts, game situation, points, what you got to do. Just that calmness in him, even down by 25. I think that is Belichick's real strength as a coach.
I mean, I think experience is huge for both players and coaches. They had guys like Chris Long talking about he was on one of the Barstool podcasts going in, and he was saying afterwards that going into halftime, he's like, I'll be honest, I was kind of doubting. I was like, I don't know, man. Let's just try and get it going. And you get guys like Duron Harmon, who's not a superstar by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a guy who's been there, he's done that, and he's just kind of like, all right, guys, we got this. Don't worry, we got it. We're gonna come back. And having Tom Brady probably is a big part of that, but to have an entire team just kind of on the same mindset of like, no, it's fine. We just got to make the next stop, and we're good. And they all kind of rolled with that, and I think that was huge.
And you heard Edelman probably in the game audio this week. They've been re-showing the Super Bowl almost every night. Gonna be a hell of a story. So, Brady can inspire the troops, definitely.
Yeah, and if you watch that, he's not doing anything crazy. He's not doing the rah-rah fire-up speech or anything like that. He's like, all right, fine, we scored, let's keep going. But about experience with the players, I think it's fucking huge. I mean, you get Brady, he's in his 7th Super Bowl, and 4 of them, he's had a touchdown drive to bring his team ahead in the 4th quarter. And, a lot of times he gets screwed in that because he brings his team down to, have the go-ahead score, but then his defense gives it up. But the point is, he's been there, he's done that, he's been behind. Even the Seattle Super Bowl, he's down 10 points, no problem, we're going to keep doing it. And then you get guys like Matt Ryan who, once things start going a little bit haywire, New England starts coming back a little bit, he kind of starts losing and starts shitting the bed. He won MVP. I know they call him Matty Ice, but starts making dumb decisions, starts sweating it. And not even just him, the entire team. Like the fucking offensive coordinator starts calling stupid plays. So I think across the board, experience was huge. Not everyone on that organization's been to 7 Super Bowls, but, the most important players and positions have.
I'm just going to go out on a limb. One question that probably didn't come up during the bye week in Kyle Shanahan's interview with the 49ers. Kyle, just random situation, just throwing it out there. Say you're up 2 touchdowns, half a quarter to go. You're on the opposing 22-yard line. Do you run the ball or do you pass it?
I mean, they would have been better. They would have been better kneeing the ball.
Sorry, up 8. Yeah, you're up 8 midway through the 4th. What do you do?
Yeah,
we go into shotgun and go.
But the
wrong answer.
That's like how I play Madden. But the point I was going to make about, you were saying Belichick having that in-game experience, he's seen everything. I read a couple things where, take it for what it's worth, but they were saying what Belichick was trying to do at the end of the 4th quarter was he was trying to get the punt to be short enough where he could call a fair catch and have that wacky rule where you can kick a free field goal without any defenders blocking it.
That's right.
If you fair catch a punt and you catch it cleanly, you can kick a free field goal. Granted, it would be like a fucking 80-yard field goal at that point, but the guy didn't have a great night punting. If they get another 15 yards up, Gostkowski could hit a 60-yarder in a dome.
And I think with the free kick, you don't hike it back 7 yards. You kick it from the spot. And so, this word came up a lot in the Senate this week. It's arcane. It's an arcane rule, but that's Belichick's strength. And going back to what you said about experience, maybe one amendment that I can make to my feelings on experience, quarterback, that position's a different animal. There's no other position like it in sports. Maybe a point guard in basketball, but the quarterback is almost an executive level position. It's a management position. He's a coach on the field, and he performed a lot better than Matt Ryan. I know Ryan doesn't have the cachet that Brady has, almost 10 years younger, but the league MVP, he can't check out of a shotgun play on 1st and 10 at the 22. They were gashing that Patriots defense with the run, and then they just stopped. It defies logic. It defies reason.
Yeah, you saw that a lot, and it might have something to do with it was Matt Ryan's first really, really great year, and he maybe doesn't have the level of understanding of like reading the defense that Brady obviously does, because a lot of it was just chuck and duck. Oh, this is the play call? All right, fuck it, let's do it, and just hope Julio Jones comes down with it. It wasn't a lot of intellectual thinking where, all right, this doesn't look right, let's switch this over, let's run these guys over. I don't remember them going in motion really at all. It's just, here's the play call, go.
You're right. I mean, they ran that offense like a Madden offense, and I think one of the things I said the next day at the water cooler, I run the ball more in Madden Super Bowl than Kyle Shanahan does in the real Super Bowl. I'm the last guy that runs the ball in Madden, by the way.
Yeah, no, same here. And that's what was so wild about it. It's like they abandoned the run. I don't know if it was, I think it was second half. The Falcons ran the ball like 5 times. Like, you're up 25 points, you run the ball 5 times. Like, that's literally a Madden offense. And that is a shitty idea because I lose a lot of games that way. The guy's lucky he didn't, throw a bunch of pick sixes. And obviously they only ran like 45, 50 plays in a game, but clock stopping, what are you doing? Just exposing yourself to sacks and shit like that.
Yeah, because if you run the ball at the Pats 22, worst case scenario, you get a 40-yard field goal attempt.
With the best kicker in the league.
The best kicker in the league, indoors, and you force the Patriots to burn all their timeouts. Now, the timeouts didn't really making that much of a difference, but you can get a team down by 11 with no timeouts to go. That, as wacky as that comeback was, and they did attempt an onside kick at one point because they had to try something, that comeback did not necessitate any onside recovery or anything like that. It was fairly straightforward. They just, again, Belichick worked the clock well enough that they had enough possessions left.
And something else that, again, it's hard to tell if it was genius or just luck. Being Belichick, it's, you can argue it either ways. But when they went for that onside kick, you could argue it was too early. Like, what are they doing? Why are they going for the onside kick? They didn't obviously get it. But if you rewatch the game, later in the game, every kickoff they do, they have to defend the onside kick after that. So Gostkowski's pinning guys in the fucking 10, and then they got to drive 90 yards because they have to defend the onside kick.
Yeah, I thought it was a panic move at the moment, but then again, you're right. Patriots are going to be down a couple of more scores. Make them think about it. And here's the thing I'll say about onside kick. I don't think you see it enough, or I don't think you see it early enough, quite honestly. But the thing is, in that position, you need to stop anyway. So what the hell's the difference if you stop them at their 25 or at the 50? You need to stop anyways.
I think one of the best uses of onside kick that I've ever seen, or at least in theory, I don't know if you remember, I think it was last season in an overtime game, the Seahawks elected to kick, or the other team, elected to receive, and the Seahawks were kicking, and they onside kicked it right off the bat in overtime, and everyone said, "What are you doing? Why would you, Pete Carroll? Why would you onside kick it in overtime?" And he's just saying, "No, it's a change of possession. If we onside kick it and we get it, we just kick a field goal and we win." And I'm like, that's not a bad idea. I mean, if you have a great defense, you're going to stop them from scoring a touchdown anyways. That's not a bad idea.
Another one that comes to mind is that Super Bowl a couple of years ago, Saints against Colts. Saints were kicking off to start the second half, and they recovered that onside kick, and that kind of propelled them to that upset that year.
Yeah, off Hank Baskett's face mask, the legendary receiver.
Well, and we're talking about onside kicks. Another thought that went through my mind, Patriots, when they get down by 16, they got to go for 2 twice, and they got to make it twice to tie the game. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Wouldn't it be nice that if you ran a few more 2-point conversions during the year? Not if you want, I don't know if you want to be running it every week like the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I heard the broadcast crew say the Patriots are 1 for 2 on 2-point conversion attempts this year, and I just go, come on, can't you run this a few more times, Bill? Come on, you got to be ready. And then they run that indirect snap, that gadget play, and then I'm thinking to myself, yeah, maybe it's better to keep that one in the package until you need it so no one sees it.
Well, that's. I think you're exactly right there. I mean, the play they ran for the first 2-point conversion was the fucking Kevin Falk 2-point conversion that ran in the Super Bowl 15 years ago. And, the Statue of Liberty
Classic
play.
never dies.
The Statue of Liberty play. And, it's one of those things where if you're the Steelers, they're running it all the time. And I'm watching games with the Steelers, and they run 4 in a row, and they're just chasing points the entire game. So I think just kind of keeping it in check and, having teams guess what you're going to do. Like, I didn't expect the Statue of Liberty play. I'm sure the Falcons didn't expect that. That was huge.
I think that fooled most viewers.
Yeah, but it was funny because I was sitting there. I'm like, that's Kevin Falk. And then I'm watching the replay of the Rams Super Bowl today, and I'm watching that I don't know if it's a 2-pointer or a touchdown, whatever it was. Kevin Falk runs it up the middle of the Statue of Liberty, and then my girlfriend's not even paying attention. I'm like, that's the play. That's the one right there. She's like, okay, I don't really care.
Well, again, Belichick with that institutional memory.
Yeah, I mean,
all right, well, this worked in 1999, so
he's like the Rain Man of football. But yeah, so today I'm at the gym and I see that 98.5 is rebroadcasting the radio broadcast of the fourth quarter and overtime. So I do not need any pump up music, anything like that. I put that on and I'm just listening to that, and dude, that's so much better. And just listening to like the things that, how they're breaking it down. Obviously it's local, but some of the quotes like Zoe was throwing out had me dying laughing. I mean, he was saying, quote, Matt Ryan is imploding in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl with the game pretty much in hand. And I can't disagree with him.
Yeah, I mean, Zolak definitely offers a unique perspective. And as much as we all love Gil and Gino, Gil played in the old AFL. He was a kicker wide receiver 50 years ago. Zolak, has his finger on the pulse a little bit more than we're used to from somebody in that position around here.
Yeah, I mean, he had a lot of the same coaches and teammates, so it's not like he's that out of it. But something.
I said Gil Santos, Gino Cappelletti. Sorry,
Gino. Yeah. Something that we need to talk about that was huge was the Julian Edelman catch. Now, watching that live, holy shit! But that's a catch as Patriots fans we deserve. I mean, after David Tyree bullshit, after Mario Manningham bullshit, after the cursed catch in the Seahawks game, which we probably should have lost, 3 ridiculous circus catches that went against us, we deserve that. We had to have one crazy circus catch to our names after 15 years of, great success, but some pretty tough losses.
I agree 100%, and you probably heard Rob Parker on Cowherd earlier in the week with that Lote shirt, luckiest of all time for Brady. And what I got to say to that is, luck evens out, man.
Yeah.
Brady has won 5 out of the 7 Super Bowls he's been to. I think he's a hell of a lot closer to 7 than he is to 3 or to 2 or however many, but that luck evens out. And when I saw Edelman with that catch, I immediately thought of the helmet catch, and I said, that's going to be our helmet catch.
Yeah.
And it's the cover of Sports Illustrated. JE11's already hawking the catch on a T-shirt on his website. And, he kind of needed that catch to redeem himself that day. I think I tweeted out earlier in the game that playing the role of Wes Welker that night was going to be Julian Edelman. I look back at the stats. I don't know how many drops he had, but he only had 5 catches out of 13 targets. That's a tough night for him, who's supposed to be one of your top wide receivers.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing that makes this team different from years past, where, I mean, I know a couple of those throws are overthrown and probably not great throws. Brady had a crappy first half, but imagine, back in the Welker days, Welker's got 5 catches. They lose by 14 points. In a Super Bowl, Edelman has besides like that, crazy catch, he doesn't have a huge game. But you get huge games from Malcolm Mitchell, you get huge games from Hogan, Amendola, James White, obviously. You don't have Gronk. Like, this is the first year they've really been able to recover from not having their top 2 guys.
Yeah, that was always the hallmark of the Patriots. The early part of that dynasty is whenever one man went down, the next guy came up. I remember Roosevelt Colvin came to town in 2003, and I think he got hurt in week 2 out for the season. And he was a pretty big pickup at that time. And, they overcame a lot of injuries. Of course, Drew Bledsoe's injury kind of kickstarted the whole thing, come to think of it.
Right. But then speaking of the Edelman catch, I'm rewatching it the last few days. I'm sure you have too, and then listening to the radio broadcast today. So he catches that right ahead of the 2-minute warning, and watching it on TV, they show the replay. You can tell he did somehow get it, but the Patriots, obviously, the players don't necessarily know, so they're running up to the line trying to get the snap off so they can spike it. But the Falcons obviously don't have, they don't have the time. They don't know if they caught it or not. So Dan Quinn challenges it, and obviously the Patriots end up winning the challenge because he caught it. But in doing so, Falcons burn a timeout, burn a challenge. They stop the clock ahead of the 2-minute warning, so the Patriots get the clock stopped twice and save a timeout and save a play. That was friggin' huge.
That's like the old Tom Coughlin timeout. Call a timeout right before the 2-minute warning, get a free play in, essentially.
Exactly.
Well, there it is again, Quinn making a decision that, looking back on it, less than ideal. And I mentioned Tom Coughlin and some of his strategy. Rewatching those old Super Bowls the last couple of days, Tom Coughlin, to a guy my age, I'm 30, he is my Buckner. He is my Bucky Dent, to put it better. He is my boogeyman when it comes to sports.
He was the only guy who could go toe-to-toe with Belichick. I mean, obviously,
and
a lot of luck, but same token, like you were just saying it. He's a lot closer to 7 than he is to 0. But with that being said, though, it's like there's the Tyree catch, the Manningham catch, and all that shit. And if that went the other way, fine. If Vinatieri misses some kicks, fine. But you still got games like 06 AFC title game where the Patriots got screwed on a couple of things. They had AFC title games against the Rams, or not against the Rams, against the Ravens. What if what's his name misses that kick? So that could go any way. I mean, he could have 10 Super Bowls for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's 39. He's the best-looking 39-year-old to ever play in that game, and I know he mentioned he wants to play another 3 to 5 years. I have a hard time seeing him play another 5, but they're the favorite in the AFC right now next year.
Who's going to beat him?
Yeah, and I've heard some people saying this in the blogosphere. Garoppolo, it seems like his time is right to move him out for a first-round draft pick, if not more. But with Gronkowski, just because you can win without Gronkowski doesn't mean that he can't help you win the next 5 years in a row or, be that bridge after Brady finally does hang him up. But, maybe that's another subplot. Who lasts longer, Brady or Gronkowski?
People that want to trade Gronkowski now are morons. They say, "Oh, you can get this. You can win without him." How much money he makes next year? He makes $4 million to be the best tight end in football, and you're going to trade him just because, we won without him. Yeah, we'll keep him for $4 million. That's what your fucking kicker makes, and imagine how good the team's going to be. Like that's moronic.
Just because you can win without him doesn't mean you can't win more with him. And selling Gronkowski right now would be the definition of selling low.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the year after they trade him just to try and get some value out of him. I hope they don't. But to trade him now is stupid. I mean, imagine how much better they'd be. Especially, they're not going to sign Bennett. Bennett's going to want... You can't pay your backup tight end more than your starting tight end. So, Pat's tied up. And, you watch those probability win charts where they have like a 99% chance of losing. And that doesn't even take into account the difficulty of having to score two-point conversions. So then they get to OT, they win the coin flip, and they drive down for the touchdown. And, obviously it's mainly Falcons fans bitching about how unfair overtime is. But, obviously they changed the rules a couple of years ago. What are your thoughts on overtime rules in the NFL?
To what you said first, Falcons fans complaining, I'm surprised we didn't hear more of that this week. Hey, it's the Super Bowl. They're men. It's the last game of the season. Go out there, play for 4 hours if you have to.
I think it's different because they blew a 25-point lead. They kind of just said, yeah, fuck.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm glad the Patriots won that coin toss. I thought they were due. Before the whole game started, George H.W. Bush comes out to throw the opening coin toss. Great president, great man, war hero, tough guy. Can't say enough good things about that guy. But when that coin toss went a little off the rails, I go, oh, God, that was not a good coin toss. The Patriots lose it. Patriots have to get the ball first. They never get the ball first. I don't like how this is going. So we go to overtime. I go, all right, clean toss. I think we're due. And you know when the Patriots got the ball, they weren't going to get stalled out. It reminds me of that Carolina Super Bowl dozen years ago or so, when I had said to a friend kind of flippantly, hey, wouldn't overtime be great? And he goes, you idiot, that Patriots defense is gassed. Rodney Harrison's shoulder is separated. They would get killed in overtime. And that's kind of what happened to the Falcons. They're out of gas. I don't know if I would change the rules. I hate that knee-jerk reaction to, losing a tough game and then changing the rules. The NFL, they didn't have overtime in regular season games until 1974. And then when they did have overtime until 2009, 2010, it was that sudden death, that field goal. And, I will take even the original sudden death. I'll take that over the college system. The college system does not take into account special teams, clock management, anything like that. So I would be open to further modified overtime, but I'm not a proponent of it. I'll take this system still over the college system.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. The Falcons, I don't feel bad for them at all. You gave 31 unanswered points. You weren't stopping shit. You didn't catch a bad break. Sorry, that's how the game's played. The way overtime used to be, kicking just the field goal and then you're done, that sucks. That's no way to go. I think now if you drive and you give up a touchdown, I think that's probably the best way to do it. Because if you do it the way college does it, everyone gets a try. I mean, God forbid they do it the way in college where you get it on, the 30-yard line. You're going back and forth and back and forth. But even besides how dumb that is, that completely changes the strategy. I mean, so say you get the ball first, you're driving, and say you stall on the third down. Well, I'm not going to not get any points. I guess I have to kick it. Whereas if you get the ball second, you can go for the throw and get the touchdown, and it changes the entire makeup of the game. You don't have to react. You don't have to react to or predict. You just get to react. So I think it's kind of dumb to do it that way. I think it's probably the best way you're going to do it. I think it's the best way it's going to get.
The only thing I can think is maybe, okay, team that gets the ball first scores. All right, regardless of what they do with it, you get one chance to answer. But then, say the Patriots score a touchdown, go up 7, Atlanta gets a touchdown, ties it up. All right, we're just back where we started. I go back to what you just said. If you're going to win the game, you got to make a stop. You got to beat the champ to be the champ. It's going to take a big play to win one way or the other. So don't cry about the coin toss.
Not to mention, it's the first one in 51. So I think we'll be okay.
I think one of the AFL championship games they said went to overtime before the Super Bowl era, and then, of course, the 1958 NFL championship game.
Right. And speaking of overtime, I listened to the radio broadcast today, and Zoe's going nuts saying, they were dead to rights, on their back. They get that Martellus Bennett, they get that holding call or the pass interference call on them. They get the ball at the 2, and you're like, all right, let's fucking punch it in. Let's bring it in. Let's just close it out. And then what was Brady thinking? Throwing the ball from the 2 in overtime and almost getting picked off by Vic Beasley. Did no one learn anything from the Seahawks 2 years ago? I mean, if Brady gets picked off there, I think I just kill myself on the spot.
Yeah, we couldn't believe what we were seeing there, and the only thought that went through my mind is they want Brady to have that moment, which is, that's not a good reason. I couldn't figure that one out either, but then when James White punches it in, you see this a lot in hockey. The guy that scores the game-winning goal in overtime, oh, he's our MVP. There you go. James White, usually, it goes to the quarterback, and if it's up in the air, then they'll give it to somebody else. But James White, I'm glad Conan gave him a truck. He deserves something.
So I totally hear you on that. I actually had a buddy who put $5 down on James White to win MVP, and I forget what the odds were, but if James White won MVP, he would have won $750. So he was a little pissed he didn't win.
I don't know if third string running back is accurate, but behind Blunt and
he's not really
Dion Lewis,
he's not really a third string. But the Patriots are very different than any other team.
Yes, but that Blunt and Lewis were options 1 and 1A, and I think they kept going to the well, LeGarrette Blunt, and finally they just said, all right, we got to mix it up, and James White was right there, and he had some insane numbers. I'll have to bring them up real quick, but
he had 14 catches, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, plus the 2-point conversion. So obviously huge game, but I just think being down 25 points in the Super Bowl with Brady engineering all those drives with huge play after huge play. Obviously other guys had, huge catches like the Edelman catch, James White had the 2-point conversions, punching those in. But I just think Brady was such an engineer of all of it, bringing the team back from the dead. I think you had to go with Brady.
Yeah, if you look at White, it's funny, he has more receptions than he had rushing attempts. He's got about 140 all-purpose yards, three touchdowns, the 2-point conversion. But yeah, you go again back to White, 14 receptions. Brady's throwing him the ball, and I think, maybe if the Patriots win 34-14, White gets the MVP. But when you orchestrate a fourth quarter and overtime comeback, the Super Bowl MVP award is the quarterback's to lose.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think if it was a back and forth shootout kind of game, like 38-34, I think James White has a much better chance of winning it. But I think just being in that huge hole and having to have the quarterback bring them back, reading the defense, pass, running the ball. I just think everything that he did was a lot more important than James White, because I think obviously James White is not necessarily a household name, had a huge game, but the Patriots, talk about just building these guys in a friggin' lab. I mean, James White was a fourth round pick. Dion Lewis was a guy who was traded and cut by multiple teams. Before that, you had Danny Woodhead, not exactly an all-pro player. Kevin Falk before that. So it's all these guys. They just literally Belichick and Brady, and I think Ernie Adams is up in the lighthouse, just building them in his lab.
Patriots treat running backs the way Billy Beane and the Oakland A's treat closers. It's cheaper to make one than to buy one.
Yeah, someone can do something we need him to do. We don't need.
Oh, you're a lefty that throws heat? You're going to pitch one inning now.
Yeah, we don't need LaDainian Tomlinson. We need a very specific set of skills. So,
and just one random aside real quick, the one Super Bowl that the Patriots won that Brady didn't get the MVP was the Deion Branch Super Bowl MVP. He had 11 receptions out of 12 targets, 133 yards. He didn't even have a touchdown that game, though. Brady was 23 of 33, 2 touchdowns, no picks, but only 236 yards. So, again, it kind of illustrates my point. It's the quarterbacks to lose, but if the quarterback doesn't wow you, that's when they move on.
Yeah, because I was actually rewatching that this weekend, where I was kind of thinking the same thing, like big game, but doesn't necessarily blow you away. I think that was probably a situation of the writers saying Brady had an okay game, but Deion Branch kind of carried the team. Whereas the last 2 Super Bowl wins, Brady's been incredible. In the Seahawks game, Super Bowl a couple years ago, he set the record for most completions in a Super Bowl. And then in this Super Bowl, he broke his own record for that, and also the largest comeback, most yards thrown. So, I mean, I just think MVP had to be his.
Well, and you're talking about, you're rewatching that Super Bowl, and Terry Bradshaw joked about this in the pregame show. Seems like the Patriots are in the Super Bowl every year. It's on Fox. 01, 04, 07 this year. They've seen all the announcers. They've seen Pat Summerall. They've seen Joe Buck. They've seen Greg Gumbel when he was doing play-by-play for CBS the first time around. Al Michaels. I was watching Pat Summerall, that early Super Bowl. I think it was Summerall's last game as the number 1 lead guy on Fox. That pairing with John Madden.
Yep.
And just one of these old guys, talks in code, doesn't give a you-know-what. They spot Tagliabue in the press box, and it's a red can, and he's pouring it into a cup. It could be a Coca-Cola, but the way he's pouring it, it's probably a Budweiser. And so Summerall knows that he caught him in kind of an awkward position. Oh, and there's the commissioner enjoying an American soda.
Yeah.
Just such old man terminology. He probably used that in the locker room back in the 50s because, his name is George Allen Summerall. Pat's a nickname because he was a kicker in the NFL. Pat, point after touchdown. So that is some old school, old man athlete terminology.
I never knew that's why he was called Pat.
I'm going to have an American soda when I get on the bus. An American soda or 6.
But yeah, so they've been replaying the fact that NFL Network, the Patriots have been to that many Super Bowls that the NFL Network can just run a marathon all day long of Patriots Super Bowls is incredible in its own right. But
hey, you just gave me an idea. Forget the Big Ten Network and all those. We need the Patriots Network.
Seriously, the amount of games you could play, classics, would be ridiculous. So
Jerry Thornton could host Patriots Tonight every night at 11:30.
So I'm rewatching all these old Super Bowls, and something that's really coming to mind is, watching these games and the play-by-play with, all these old guys like Summerall and Madden and Joe Buck, and just sitting there. And I know it's not anything groundbreaking, but the play-by-play is just atrocious compared to things like local radio. And again, I know guys like Zolak. He's a local guy, so you could say he's a homer and all that. But I just mean more so the energy level. Like I was watching the Rams Super Bowl today, and Vinatieri kicks the game-winning field goal to win the game, and Summerall's just going, and the kick's good, and the Patriots win the Super Bowl. I'm sitting there going, are you fucking kidding me? This was like the biggest upset in Super Bowl history, and Pat Summerall is acting like he's turning in his homework. He can't even get excited for it. And then just listening to I think it was what was it, the '04 one against the Eagles. Rodney Harrison picks off McNabb to seal the Super Bowl, and Joe Buck saying, "Oh yeah, there you go. The Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl." And I'm just like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You're doing play-by-play for the biggest game of the biggest sport in the country for a game-turning play to seal the Super Bowl, and no one can even get excited."
Well, I remember Gil Santos, the call the interception at the end of that '04 Super Bowl. Yes, it's a dynasty.
Back to back, 2 out of 3. Or
getting a little bit more excited. But, speaking as somebody that has been in that position before, announcing, play-by-play of a game, a big, exciting play at the end, you're afraid, you're kind of cautious because you don't want to be that, 20-year-old college radio student screaming at the top of his lungs after, a D3 lacrosse win. You want to be dignified, you want to be in the moment, and so maybe they go the other way just, to be safe. But, it's a little different in the NFL because you don't have home TV crews in the NFL, but it almost reminds me of the NCAA basketball tournament where these teams have played 30, 40 games, and then they get to the NCAA tournament and Jim Nantz has to sit in and do a game, or, Kevin Harlan, whoever it may be. And I think I one time heard one of them say, you didn't study, you didn't take the course, but now they're in the NCAA tournament, you're taking the final. And so I wonder if it's like that for a national broadcaster. You didn't take the course, you studied obviously, but you didn't take the course and now you have to take the final exam. I know it is a great position and I don't feel bad for these guys, but I recognize the difficulty that they must have.
Yeah, it's a good point, but Vinatieri kicks the field goal to win against the Rams in the biggest upset in Super Bowl history. I don't care if you don't know the guy's name. You can get excited. That guy just kicked the field goal to bring, a team with a second-year quarterback no one's ever fucking heard of to win the Super Bowl. But that just, reminds me, the number of monotone, shitty calls I have attached to historic Boston victories is just terrible. I mean, just for an example, how about the Sox winning '04? The Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. You're World Series champions. I'm like, oh, cool. All right. I guess I was just reading a book. That wasn't exciting at all. And then you listen to a radio broadcast, you get fucking jacked up.
Can you believe it, guy?
Yeah. Joe Buck sucks. He's terrible. I know he's growing out a beard, get a new look going on, try and separate himself from Troy Aikman, who's probably doesn't know where he is, but holy shit, dude.
Joe Buck, he always says this thing, no, I don't hate your team. So maybe that's the ultimate compliment. Everybody thinks Joe Buck hates their team.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I totally agree with the fact that if you could pick, you always want the home team, like Homer calling your game. Like watching a Bruins game, I love Jack calling a game. Like he's not a, great national broadcaster, but he's awesome to listen to as a local guy. But again, a lot of it's just energy. I mean, watching the national guys is just so bland. And I get if it's like, a week 8 game, but the Super Bowl, come on, man. Give me a little excitement.
We'll have to tweet out some Johnny Most and classic Celtics calls this week, calling Isaiah a dirty player.
I can't.
I like Jack.
Do it here.
And I've got the baseball package, and I know people fight me on this. I'm not a Yankees fan, but I like John Sterling. A guy that has some energy. He's got a good set of pipes.
Hate him. Hate him.
I know you hate him. You know what I like about him? He's the only guy on radio that does 9 innings.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but I hate him because he's a walking shtick. Another A-bomb from A-Rod, and the Yankees went. Like, dude, what are you doing? Like, are you trying to make T-shirts or are you trying to call a game?
He's got shtick, but, if you listen to a full game, he's not a bad broadcaster, in my opinion. But, yeah, everyone's got their favorites and their dislikes. I like Jack Edwards, too, though, because, like you said, I appreciate the energy.
Yeah, I mean, he's nuts. But one more Pats point before we move on. Next year, it's in Minneapolis. If Pats win the Super Bowl, if Pats get back to the Super Bowl, we're going, correct?
Hashtag it.
Hashtag it. I saw today the Patriots filed the copyright Blitz for 6. Meh. Meh. But I gotta say, Minneaposix, oh, much better. Minneaposix. T-shirts coming soon.
Hashtag Minneaposix. Yeah, I live in the Minnesota upper Midwest area, and, it always kind of comes down to this. If your team is in the championship and you have a free place to stay, the ticket price is almost irrelevant.
Swipe, swipe.
Yeah, I don't need to worry about spending $60 a night on a hotel room for 3 nights. I save $180, thus I can buy $400 tickets.
$400 ticket. That's like a $2,500 ticket.
That was when I went to the Frozen Four, had a place to stay in D.C. Yeah, Super Bowl. I don't need to worry about a hotel for $200, though I can afford that $4,000 seat. Now, say that there are 2 teams in that Super Bowl that I don't care about. Normally, I would just walk down there and say, hey, I'll try to get tickets after the kickoff. I don't care who's in it. I don't care if I missed the kickoff. Just to say I've been to a Super Bowl. But I was looking at StubHub this year. I'm not walking around with $2,000 in my back pocket.
Right.
And I don't think those guys take checks.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where I don't know if flights get jacked up. I know hotels would. I don't know if a flight necessarily, from Boston, it might, if they make it and you kind of wait last second. So maybe it's one of those things you buy the flight real far in advance, and then if they don't, just try and liquidate it into, miles. But, if you get a free place to stay, you're in a relatively close area, you just really got to pay for the ticket and beers. Like, I can stomach that.
Well, you talk about getting a flight from Boston to Minneapolis. That's been one of my gripes, is that Minneapolis, I know that Minneapolis is not Chicago, New York, L.A. I didn't think that Minneapolis was Nashville, though. Trying to get a direct flight from Minneapolis to Boston is a lot harder than it should be. And Southwest Airlines, if you want to fly from Manchester to Providence for $49, they're your airline. If you want to get from Boston to LA, Boston to Minneapolis, good luck, because you got to stop in Kansas City, St. Louis, Denver. I've seen that one before. Minneapolis, it's a harder city to fly in and out of than you would think, or it should be.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where just being the stereotypical, overconfident, arrogant Patriots fan, I don't know who's going to stop them getting back. Colts, no. Broncos need a fucking quarterback. Defense is another year older. Chiefs suck. Ravens, they're on the way down. Steelers, I don't know. Maybe, but
Big Ben's thinking about calling it quits.
Yeah, who's going to stop them? Patriots are definitely favored to get back again. And, that's something I am totally on board with. We're talking about making Minneapolis T-shirts, so I'm planning for it.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against them at this point, especially if they've got a healthy Gronkowski that can help them out. And, the only downside from our point is it's like getting through a shitty season on Netflix. You got to slog through those 17 regular season games. You got to get through that bye week. You got to get through that home playoff game week 2. And then it's like, all right, AFC Championship game, all right, season's starting now. It's a short season, but it's rewarding.
The New England Patriots season, it's like a Walking Dead season. The first game back, this is great. I love it. I'm totally into it. The next 16 weeks are boring as fuck. And then you just wait for the season finale, the Super Bowl, and it's all worth it.
It's like Entourage, season finale. Oh, the guys are back. This is going to be great. And then he doesn't know what he's doing for 10 weeks. And then it's like they go, shit, season finale. All right, 45-minute episode. Ari will say the F word. It'll be great. Or, it's like an episode of Law & Order. You see the crime, and then, oh, my God, it's 55. We got to make a plea agreement or something.
But, seriously, hopefully they re-sign Hightower, but other than that, you got a pretty solid team coming back. You got the best tight end in all of football coming back at $4 million a year. I think they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, you're going to have a first ballot Hall of Famer at quarterback. In my opinion, a first ballot Hall of Famer at tight end. It's different for coaches, but you got a Hall of Fame coach.
And the coordinators, both of them coming back.
Yeah, kind of. Josh McDaniels, he was more interested in a ring than a paycheck. as opposed to just counterpoint on the other sideline. So, I'll take guys like that every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
All right, so we're going to put Minneaposix t-shirts on the press this week. Any other talking points you want to talk about, things coming up on the next couple episodes you want to tease?
Well, we'll probably do a couple of posts on the Red Sox this week. Spring training, I saw the Red Sox put out an Instagram post today. Pedro and Tech getting there. It's good to see Pedro getting there early for a change. He's not playing anymore. He's just putting back,
American sodas.
Buffet line every day. Yeah, the American sodas and the Howard Johnson buffet line every day. So I guess it's okay to get there early now.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we got a few episodes coming up that are going to be red hot, and it's going to be hard to top Patriots talk, but I know we're going to be talking about it for a little while. I'm still watching recaps and highlights. I'm still buying t-shirts and hats. I just bought the dog Super Bowl 51 champions t-shirt, so I think we're going to have enough stuff to talk about for a while.
Yeah, I'll be going to Bob's next time I'm in New England, so yeah, I mean, I've heard people joke about it. The NFL is the biggest league in North America. The second biggest league is the NFL offseason. So I think we'll have plenty to talk about. And, I can't wait to talk about Belichick getting a top draft pick for Garoppolo and then spinning it off for a second, a third, a fourth, and next year's second.
I mean, we're going to get the 12th pick and the 32nd pick, so I'm excited.
We're kind of in that downtime in the calendar right now, but, we got the NCAA tournament coming up, and then you get the national championship game on opening day. So, just try to get through that winter, Boston. I'm enjoying 50s out here, but, we're getting there.
All right. Well, Rick, thanks for joining us. This has been another good episode of the 300s podcast. Guys, we'll see you next week for episode 5.